I'm Atul Garg and I welcome you all on behalf of Orient IAS. So basically today I'm uploading this class in order to discuss the basic strategy for GS Paper 4, that is ethics, integrity and aptitude. Uh, right. So this ethics, integrity and aptitude, this is an orientation class for that. Usually we conduct this session in an offline mode, but due to this corona pandemic, this online has become the new normal. And let me say in the starting that I'm new to this, do pardon me for any mistakes. And I hope that you guys will also get settled down with this online mode. Some initial problems would be there, but I believe that they are going to get sorted out with time. Because for the next 2-3 months, I'm very much sure that there are going to be no offline classes. So here is our orientation class in our online mode. Now, basically, let me, before starting the class, let me give a basic introduction about myself. As you all know that my name is Atul Garg, I told you before. I've been teaching ethics since 2013 when this paper was introduced for the first time by UPSC. And since then, I have taught more than 15,000 students. Luckily, I have got many good students also and many selections, as you can see, they are present. And I hope so that this list will keep on increasing with time. See, basically the idea is that you guys can rely on me, and I hope that I can also rely on you. See, there's a saying in our Dharma Shastras that a teacher goes to hell if he doesn't get even a single worthy student to whom he can pass on his knowledge. But luckily, after teaching so many students, I can say that I'm surely not going to hell. All right. And I hope that you people are going to increase the list of my good deeds. So I welcome you all again. My Telegram page is also there. This Ethics by Atul Garg. You guys can send me a message. I will give my phone number to you later on. You can join this Telegram page in order to get some recent updates. My Facebook page is also there, Ethics by Atul Garg. This page will also provide you with some current affairs, with some things, some articles that I feel are good for your preparation. So these things are going to be there for you from these Telegram page and Facebook page. Now, without wasting much time, let me discuss the basic topics that I'm going to discuss today. The first thing that I'm going to discuss is that what shall be the right time to prepare for GS Paper 4, as a lot of students have a lot of confusion regarding this. Second is the nature of this paper. The third is the sources of ethics, my role as an ethics teacher, and what you're going to get through this program. What is the importance of GS Paper 4, as many students take it for granted? What are the trends in the last 7 years? I mean, what are the things which I've found common in the last 7 papers? What is the syllabus, from which disciplines the syllabus has been drawn? What are the different reference books which you guys can refer to? And what will be the highlights of the ethic module that I'm going to start next week, or next week, not next week, in fact, this week itself, from Saturday, 14th of June, I'm going to start this program, but because we are in this online mode, so you guys will have all the flexibility. All right. So now let me start with the first thing, that is right time to prepare for ethics. Now see, earlier the prelims was on 31st May, and at that time we had these around 110 days between our PT and mains. So you guys had ample time with you. But now with this new dates, now the PT has been rescheduled to 4th of October, and mains have been scheduled on 8th of January, which means we are left with only 90 days between our PT and mains, which means that would be a very crucial time, and that time you won't have much time to take any of the classes, whether it's ethics or your optional or anything. I mean, that is a time for revision and just writing your test. And now we have around 4 months from today till your PT exam. So these 4 months, if you guys can utilize, the ideal scenario should be that the first 2 months, that is your June and July, shall be committed towards preparation of mains, whereas your August and September should be committed towards your PT exam. So this is really a good opportunity for you people to prepare your ethics. In fact, all the weak areas of your mains, the areas in which you still don't have much confidence in you, so those areas can get covered in June and July. I'm especially telling you this thing that your optional, your ethics, your essay, world history, post-independence India, I mean the internal security, the areas which are common, which are unique to the main stage, these are the areas which must be covered in these 2 months. If you haven't taken any ethics classes before, so this is the right time. So don't have any hesitation in your mind. No confusion shall be there. Should be very much clear about your ideas. I know that these days are very challenging. The times are very uncertain, but it is only in these uncertain times that the trust of true character is there. I mean, see, I can give you again many examples, uh, one example from Mahabharata I can give you, when Pandavas and Kauravas, when they came from the Gurukul, it was like the ideal, the fair situation would have been that the kingdom would have been divided between them in an equal manner. But Pandavas got Khandav Prastha. Dhritarashtra gave them Khandav Prastha, which is a barren, infertile part of Hastinapur. All right, but yet they were not much worried. They do not get perturbed by that situation. In fact, they took advantage and they made sure that Khandav Prastha from a barren land got converted into the most beautiful kingdom on earth. So a great person, a Siddha Purusha, what we call them in Indian philosophy, he always maintain its decorum, they maintain their emotional stability and make the best out of all the situations that they face. Same happened with Lord Rama also when he was asked to go to forest by his father, by his on the because of the woo of Mother Keikei. So he was not again put out by the situation. In fact, he showed his gratitude towards Kekai, that it is because of you I will get the chance to meet such great sages. And in fact, he was quite happy about that. All right. So take cues from these examples and do maintain your emotional stability. I know that these 4 months are going to be challenging, but the winner will be the one who will make most, I mean, the highest possible utilization of this time. All right. So don't have any hesitation. This is the time when you can prepare for your ethics paper for your optional. Now it's on you how you divide the time as per your timetable, as per your comfort. You can design your program. All right. Now the next thing is the nature, scope, and sources of this. Now coming to ethics paper, that was in general. Now coming to ethics paper. Now, see, before starting any discussion on the nature of this paper, first of all, I mean, because it's an online mode, so you cannot tell me directly. Just think that how many of you really need coaching for this paper? Now, see, the answer to this question can be both yes and no. And it completely depends upon the approach of a person towards this paper. See, now because you guys are seeing this class, so it means that the no option has become irrelevant. It is out of context now. See, I don't have any problem with those who say yes. In fact, I will welcome them in great numbers. It's profitable for me. But there is a danger with this yes, a danger against which all of you must guard yourself, and it is to see this paper as a conventional body of knowledge or some lectures that are transferable on exam answer sheet. Are you getting my point? In fact, let me further clarify my point. Now, see, UPSC has given a codified syllabus for this paper. All right, in the notification, a particular syllabus, certain units, emotional intelligence, attitude, aptitude, these units are mentioned, and then subtopics are given. Usually, the kind of approach which is there in your schools and colleges, that a particular syllabus is given and then you prepare for that and write paper. The questions comes from the syllabus. It is not like our Gurukul system where the method of education was quite informal in nature. I mean, there was no syllabus at that time. The students used to wander here and there, and then they used to ask questions from the guru, and the guru used to answer it. That's it. All right. But here we have this syllabus type of approach. Now, usually how student approach such kind of thing, what they will do is that they will start looking for some standardized material. Like we have this Lakshmikant for polity, we have NCRTs and Spectrum for history. So similarly for ethics also, you guys will start looking for some standardized book, which usually what I have seen that people they buy that book lexicon. I mean, which I don't think so is enough for this paper. All right, and this is the biggest problem actually. This standardization of material to be prepared. This paper is more about thinking. This paper is more about thinking. It's more about brainstorming rather than just memorizing documented knowledge. Are you getting? In fact, it's a three-stage process. Like, first of all, what you will do? First of all, you will observe the world around you. Like, what do we call philosophy in Hindi? We call it darshan shastra. So do the darshan, do observation of this world. Like today, you are observing how people are behaving during this corona kal, what we call in Hindi news channels. Okay, so these corona days, how people are behaving. Then start doing some brainstorming. I mean, how could they have behaved? What can be the repercussions of such kind of behavior? So that is what we call brainstorming. In Hindi, we call it dhyan. And in Indian philosophy, darshan and dhyan have some really great significance. After doing dhyan, after doing the brainstorming, the introspection part, then comes the last part, that is application, or what we call karma. Karma, again, karma yoga, it is given in our Bhagavad Gita also. So it's a three-step process: observe, brainstorm, and then apply. In Hindi, we call it darshan, dhyan, and karma. So this paper is this three-step process rather than just cramming up some definitions and concepts, which unfortunately most of the students do. So do understand the nature of this paper. If you prepare after understanding the nature, then certainly you are going to get good marks. All right. In fact, see, when most of the people they ask me, so suggest one good book for this paper, and I usually tell them that your life is the best book for this paper. In fact, you guys already have so much knowledge with you. All you have to do is to start looking at knowledge from a different perspective. Like these examples, like here we can discuss the sources of this paper also. All right, sources of this paper, and just yes, sources of this paper. Now, as I told you that you already have so much knowledge with you. Like in other three GS papers, you read about so many things. Like in history, you read about so many great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Even Hitler's example can be given in a negative sense. Like Mahatma Gandhi, for example. Now, all of you know about the different aspects of Mahatma Gandhi's life. All of you know that his non-cooperation movement was there and it got suspended later on. So why it got suspended? Ask this question from you. I mean, from a historical point of view, you know this fact that it was because of the Chauri Chaura incident that that movement got suspended. Even though it was so successful, even in fact, Mahatma Gandhi himself said that if this movement continues for one more year, India will get its dominion status. All right, and yet it was suspended. Why? Now try to look this incident from ethical perspective. If you will look it from this, you will find that Gandhiji suspended the movement because the means values of truth and non-violence were breached. And Gandhiji always believed that no right ends can be achieved through wrong means. So from this very small incident, we can understand the difference between means values and end values, and how means are equally important as the ends. All right. So this thing is there in our syllabus. UPSC has also asked a question. In fact, it has asked that which values are more important, means values or end values. So while organizing different points, you can use Mahatma Gandhi as one of the examples. Similarly, we have Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Now, the thing which comes first to your mind when you hear this name is the abolition of sati. So, why Raja Ram Mohan Roy was so much against this practice of sati? Any incident from his life? If you guys read some authentic books, you will find that his sister-in-law, Raja Ram Mohan Roy's sister-in-law, committed sati in front of his eyes, and he was so empathetic towards her that he felt the same pain, the same suffering that his sister-in-law went through, and this pain gave him the energy to fight against this social evil. So, this incident shows the value of empathy and intellectual courage in Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So, if a question is there on empathy, on intellectual courage, because he had to fight against the traditional ethos of Indian society, and a lot of resistance was there against him. So, both these values are showcased in his character. So, if a question is there on empathy, you can easily use him as an example. See, I haven't told you anything new. I have just started connecting things from ethics. Same goes with our polity thing also. Like, what is constitution? Till now, you have looked constitution from the legal perspective, from the judicial perspective. But now, if you look at from the ethical perspective, you will find that it is nothing but a document of ethics. Everything from your preamble, from your fundamental rights, DPSPs, everything is nothing but a set of ethics and principles. Like, what is there in our preamble? What is there in it? Simply, it's a set of values like republic, socialist, secular, justice, fraternity. All these are nothing but values itself. So one can say that preamble is nothing but a code of ethics of our constitution. Similarly, what do we have in DPSPs? DPSCs which have the future plans for India. And Supreme Court has many times said that DPSPs is the conscience of our constitution. And what are fundamental rights? Fundamental rights are the laws and the conduct rules which are given as they are mandatory for the civil servant and government to follow. So we have preamble as code of ethics, we have fundamental rights as code of conduct and laws, and we have DPSPs as our conscience. And together it forms the whole set of ethics for an individual. In fact, last year itself, a question was asked at what is constitutional morality. So it is nothing but the set of all these ethics and values. So you just have to write down the definition aspect and then just mention all these things. What is there in preamble, there in DPSP, in fundamental rights, and your answers would have been there. Nothing new. You just have to make the connection. Same goes with international relations. So many things are there. International relations, like we often think that a war can be justified or not. Are you getting this thing? Whether, I mean, Nehru's Panchsheel, I mean, the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. I mean, what are they? They are nothing but a code of ethics at international level. Are you understanding this thing? Similarly, we have these principles of just war theory. I mean, is it ethical for countries like China to clash with India because of its expansionist policies, like what is happening right now also? But don't you think that what the developed countries are doing with developing countries, the same things developing countries are doing with underdeveloped nations? Don't we have a big brotherly attitude towards Sri Lanka, Maldives, or let's say Nepal? So try to look things from different perspectives. In fact, there is a whole topic, ethics in international relations, and I'm going to discuss all these ideas. Then social issues we have, it is there in your syllabus, gender, caste and class discrimination. All these issues have their basis in ethical perspectives. Jallikattu, which is this cruelty against animal. Like this recently, this incident of a female elephant happened where she was made to eat those firecrackers. I mean, such things are happening. Such kind of cruelty is there. So they all can be looked from an ethical perspective. Similarly, temple entry of women in Kerala. All right, child labor, dowry, the plight of workers, the migrant crisis which is happening, this internal displacement of people which is happening right now in India. So all these issues, these are social in nature and they can be looked from an ethical perspective. All right, most of them, they are the result of this patriarchal attitude of our society. All right. Same goes with environment and ecology. Again, it's a part of your PT. Sustainable development, economy versus ecology, humanocentrism versus ecocentrism. So many debates are associated with that. In fact, we have environmental ethics, biotechnology ethics, certain specific fields of ethics are there which are related to this topic. So see, there's nothing which we can say that which is completely free from the idea of ethics. In fact, ethics are everywhere. There is no holiday from ethics, as said in Indian philosophy. All right, dharma is everywhere. Everything should be done as per dharma. In fact, science and technology, the thing which we consider most objective, in fact, it is also had an ethical dimension associated with it, like the abortion laws, cloning, clinical trials, surrogacy law. Recently, there's a debate on that. Abortion laws, a debate is there. In fact, government is coming up with certain amendments to this termination of a pregnancy act. Okay, exorcism, I mean, use of black magic to treat medically ill people. So all these issues, they have an ethical dimensions associated with it. So if you even just think about different concepts, different things you have studied in 3GS paper, then also you can write a very good answer. All your examples will come from these 3GS papers only. All right. Now, the next thing, the next source from which you can get material for this paper is your daily observations. In fact, see, if you want to get good marks in this paper, then certainly you have to develop this habit of observing different slices of life and try to connect them from the topics which are mentioned in the syllabus. Are you understanding? In fact, see, your life is unique. So the examples coming from your life will give a unique touch, will give a novelty to your answer, and it is this uniqueness which is going to fetch you those extra marks. In fact, you travel to different cities, you observe people around you, and through their behavior itself, you can get many examples. Like traveling in Delhi metro. I mean, most of you have been to Delhi. There in Delhi metro, certain seats are reserved for women. So, have you ever asked this question from yourself that why these seats are reserved? Or what was the necessity of reserving such seats? Or is it okay to reserve the seat for women? I mean, what wrong men have done? Okay, or if both men and women are equal, then what's the reason for this reservation? So, such questions should be asked. And what will happen if you sit on a seat which is reserved for women? It will be illegal. It will be against law. It will be against the ethics of the society, because in our society, respect must be given to a woman. But then there are certain seats on which it is written that offer this seat to someone who needs it more than you. Now, here in this case, if you are sitting on this seat, then it will not be illegal, it will not be unethical, but it will be immoral if you do not offer this seat to someone who you think is requires more, who requires the seat more than you. Are you understanding this thing? So here the deciding factor is your conscience. It is not the law. It is not the ethics of the society. It is your conscience that is the deciding factor. And that is why I'm saying not unethical. It will be immoral. Okay, that's the difference between morality and ethics also. So from this very simple example of traveling in Delhi metro, you can get your conceptual clarity also. Like what's the behavior of people during corona pandemic. I mean, why the law has been passed in order to keep people at homes, why people are not doing it voluntarily, why they are not maintaining this social distancing. So all these things must be kept in mind while writing your answers. Like the case studies will also come from these topics itself. Maybe they can ask you a case study. Let's suppose you are a district collector of a region where the literacy rate is low, where the health facilities are poor. And in this situation, this corona pandemic has occurred. So, what will be your course of action? What action plan you will develop in order to save people from dying? Are you understanding this thing? So, बन गया केस क्या है इसके अंदर? So, just observe behavior of people and you're going to get points for your answers. Similarly, like Delhi odd even scheme, I'm going to discuss in the second unit, attitude. Like early when this scheme was introduced in order to reduce pollution in India, pollution in Delhi. So earlier people had a negative attitude, but when the scheme was enforced, then the attitude change took place among people. Now, in fact, most of the people want odd even scheme to be there in Delhi for at least 2 to 3 months every year. So why this thing is there now? So we must take this thing into consideration. In fact, I will discuss it in detail in my upcoming classes. Same happens with ragging at school and college level. All of you have seen, all of you, in fact, most of you have been involved either as a person who is doing a ragging or who's suffering from ragging. So what impact does this practice has on the emotional level of a person? Okay, how his behavioral changes takes place because of this practice of ragging, why people commit suicide because of that. So you must think about all these aspects of life, like violence in neighborhood. Everyone, all of us have have sometime in our life saw this violence, like violence maybe against women or maybe against a child. In fact, beating children, it's a traditional practice in India. All right, like beating your wife. Okay, I mean, again, unfortunately, this thing is considered quite common in Indian tradition. All right. So this is a thing. In fact, your own experiences when you counter different situations in life, these are the experiences that will going to help you in your writing answers. In fact, UPSC is asking about such experiences. Like in I think in 2014 is asked one question that write about one incident from your life in which you don't act as per your integrity, you don't acted as per your principles. So yes, certainly many incidents would have been there in your life where you have gone against your ethos, against your morality. So what were the circumstances? Why you went against your own morality? So try to think about those scenarios as they are going to help you in writing your answers. All right. So observe your daily life and you are going to get many points. Now the next thing is, again, sources of this paper, examples from media. Now, today, media is everywhere. Media considered as a fourth pillar of democracy, but unfortunately, today it's playing a very negative role. But what do we mean by media? Like media see basically refers to all the communication channels through which we get news, entertainment, education, data, or proportional messages. The way, the medium through which we are communicated, messages are delivered to us. And it includes many things like newspaper, magazines, TV, radio, billboard, telephone, Google. I mean, Google has become an intrinsic part of our life today. And most importantly, this social media thing, this WhatsApp groups, this Instagrams, Facebook, how Twitter, how in fact these things are impacting our life. So many things can be learned from there. And more, see this more things like Ramayana and Mahabharata, thanks to government, we can say that today again we have been exposed to the characters of Ramayana and Mahabharata because they are coming on television now. In fact, our whole generation has benefited a lot, because it's really painful when I hear from students that, sir, we don't know. In fact, apart from the basic storyline of Ramayana, we don't know much about these two epics. So it's very painful that students don't even have this basic understanding of their culture. But fortunately, now I think that most of you have watched these two epics during this lockdown period. All right. And so many examples you can get. Like in 2018, a question was asked by UPSC in ethics paper that what Edward Snowden did in US, whether that thing was right or wrong. Now, I hope that all of you know who Edward Snowden is. He was a CIA agent, and later on, he resigned from CIA in US, and then he became an external whistleblower. In fact, he exposed many of the black truths of CIA, many of the wrong practices that CIA used to get indulged in. All right. Now, what he did can be considered as anti-national. But now what he did was right or wrong. Basically, it's a case of whistleblowing in which a person has to face the dilemma between truth and loyalty. So this truth versus loyalty dilemma is there for the whistleblower, Edward Snowden, that whether he should remain truthful, he should expose truth in front of people, or he should remain loyal towards the organization in which he is working. Now, try to remember that which characters in Ramayana and Mahabharata face the same dilemma. Certainly, yes. I mean, Vibhishana in Ramayana, Kumbhakarna from Ramayana, and Karna when it comes to Mahabharata. Karna has to choose between his friend and what was right. He clearly knew this fact that he was fighting from the wrong side, and yet he chose his friend over Dharma. All of us know what his end was. He died a very painful death. Same happened with Kumbhakarna. He chose the wrong side and he died a painful death. They all choose loyalty. It was only Vibhishana who, who selected truth over loyalty, and it was he only who in the end survived. In fact, he was coronated as the king of Lanka later on. All right. So earlier, see, a lot of confusion was there in your mind at what can be the answer, truth versus loyalty. But there's two, three examples from Ramayana and Mahabharata, and the things will start getting clear in your mind. So knowledge doesn't come only from books, only the material which is present in old Rajendra Nagar. It also comes from other sources. So in fact, knowledge is everywhere. It is on you that whether you are able to pick that knowledge from different sources or not. Even from animals, we learn so many things. All right. So Ramayana and Mahabharata, movies also like Dangal, Pink, Pursuit. Like Pink is all about stereotypes and prejudices, which is there against working women in Indian society. Pursuit of Happiness, again, it's a very motivational movie. Whenever you are in despair, no hope is there, just watch it. You will get a lot of relief. Okay, Dangal, again, in Dangal, what happened? Earlier, people had a negative attitude towards women wrestling, but then later on, this attitude turned positive. That what led to this change? I mean, these are the questions which can come in your exam, and you can use these things as an example. Like, suppose a case study is there that that you are a DC of a region in which people are not sending their girls to participate in sports activities. So what you can do, you can organize a gram panchayat and and just in fact organize for a movie, let's say, okay, and make them watch Dangal. Free of cost Dangal movie they will see in that Gram Sabha meeting, and certainly it will bring about certain changes in them. So very simple step, watching a movie, and it can also bring about the required changes. Same goes with like cartoons like Chota Bheem. Like you would be surprised to know that this cartoon Chota Bheem, it has more than 4 crore subscribers in India. I mean, 4 crore children watch this movie, watch this cartoon series every year. I mean, surprising. And when you see this cartoon, in fact, even one episode, you will find that it is full of stereotypes and prejudices. Like the tribals are always shown in bad light. Like they will come and they practice cannibalism. तो आएंगे आपको उठा के ले जाएंगे and they will just eat you. Like villain always has a darker skin. So dark color is always associated with evil. Okay, why? I mean, where it is written that the villain would always have a darker skin. All right. The girl in the group, Chutki, the name of that character. If you have seen this cartoon, you will find that she is the fairest among all the children in the group. So why only if you're fair, only then you can be beautiful, or why it is mandatory for a girl to always work in kitchen and be fair? So these things are shown in that cartoon. All the things started from here only. In our books also we have seen such things. All right. So, whenever you are watching anything, no matter what it is, from a cartoon to an epic, from a radio channel, from Modi ji's Man Ki Baat, everywhere you will get content for this paper. This is what I am assuring you. Election campaigns, right? What made people vote for BJP. So try to understand these things. They are certainly going to help you a lot. How? That I will tell you in my classes. All right. So now I have drawn this small diagram in order to summarize all the things that I have told you till now. The idea is that this is a prism. As you can see, this is a prism of ethics, psychology, and public administration, the three disciplines from which your syllabus of GS Paper 4 has been drawn. So when you pass this knowledge, this is the knowledge. 3 GS papers, daily observations, examples from media. When this knowledge will be passed through this prism, it will get integrated and this knowledge will get converted into our wisdom. And it is this wisdom which is going to fetch us good marks. I hope you guys understand the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is understanding of facts, interpretation of things. But wisdom is the application of knowledge to decide between right and wrong. All right. So it is this application which is going to get you marks rather than the knowledge itself. In other 3 GS paper, maybe the knowledge will help you. But here you have to go one step further and try to achieve this wisdom. And this will only you will get this ability only when you are able to develop this prism of ethics, psychology, and public administration. All right. So this is the nature, scope, and sources for this paper. Your daily observations, examples from media, and 3 GS papers. Right. Now, what will be my role? I mean, what I'm going to deliver through these upcoming classes. See, my role basically is to help you develop the prism that I have just discussed. And that prism will get developed only when I will provide you the food for thoughts and the dimensions on which you can think about. I mean, how you will develop that prism? When you have the basic conceptual clarity of all the topics which are mentioned in the notification. I mean, all you have to do, what we are going to do in the class, we are going to pick all the topics one by one. We are going to discuss their basics and then try to look them from multiple perspectives. Like, let's say if emotional intelligence is there, then emotional intelligence of a public servant, of a citizen, of a politician, okay, of an army man, or a policeman, let's say, of a judge. So these are the different perspectives. All right. So this is how I'm going to discuss the things: topic, conceptual clarity, and then multiple examples. Example is a key aspect for this paper. In fact, I will give you many examples, but at the same time, I will want you people to develop your own examples, because your own example is going to add innovation to your answer, and this innovation will fetch you that extra 1 mark, which makes the difference between a failed candidate and a successful candidate. It is only about 10-20 marks in the end, which finally matters. 90 marks everyone can score. The main problem is those 110 marks. All right. So this is one thing. The second thing would be to develop your answer writing skills. So as I will tell you later, that in this program, I have attached a 5 test series also. I mean, it's going to be very important, because without writing, the classes will be of no use. In fact, once you finish your classes, only 60% of the work is done. And then the 5 tests will come, through which I will discuss current affairs also. Those tests are going to be very important for you people. So answer writing skills is certainly going to help you a lot, and I will also assist you in that. All right. And the last thing is to help you people understand the relevance of ethics so that the ideas can be internalized. See, many people, in fact, when they discuss things with me, what they say is that we are just reading about these topics only because UPSC we have to write the paper, but they're never able to understand that these things really does matter in the life also. And I am telling you this thing that until and unless you are not going to internalize the topics, you are not going to use them in your answers also. All right. In fact, at that time, in exams times, the ethics paper is so lengthy that you will not be able to make up things. Only those things will come out in your answers, the things which you have internalized. So it will be my idea, it will be my endeavor to help you understand the real relevance of ethics. I mean, they do certainly play a role in life of an individual, and that is why they have given so much importance also by UPSC. All right. So these are the 3 things that I'm going to endeavor for. Now, the next thing is importance of this paper. Now, see, when this paper got introduced in 2013, many people thought it as a game spoiler. I mean, they were really confused. I mean, what is going to happen, because the syllabus came from so many varied sources, the topics were completely unknown. So people were really frightened at what's going to happen. But in the last 7 years, the paper has become a game savior for many. In fact, if you analyze the marks of the toppers of the last 6-7 years, what you will find is that the toppers have scored highest mark in GS paper 4 itself. In fact, among all the 4 GS papers, it is GS paper 4, ethics paper, in which they have scored highest marks. Like Ira Singhal, you can say, scored 135 marks, Tina Dabi 110 marks. During her time, the marks were really low. Okay, so 110 was considered really good. This last year topic, Kanishek Kataria, he also scored 116 marks. So certainly, I mean, see, the bracket for ethics is very low. Is in fact is sorry, not low, it's very high. Like in ethics, you can get somewhere from 70 to 125. This bracket of more than 55 marks is there. But when you take other 3 GS papers, you get on an average like 80, or maybe let's say 85, average 85 to 110. This is the average score. So here the gap is only 25, whereas here the gap is 55. And that is why this paper is of so importance. If you're not taking it seriously, then it is your own risk. And sorry. All right. So do take it very seriously. I am telling you that just by preparing in a very layman manner or just reading lexicon is not going to help you out. In fact, preparation for ethics is not about 250 marks, it is about 400 marks. How? Like GS paper 4, 250 marks are there. And then in the last 2 years, at least one essay you have to write from ethical topics. In fact, I will discuss it. And in governance also, governance part, we are also going to discuss through it. So 20-30 marks, at least 2-3 questions are there, which comes in paper 2 also. So together we have this 400 marks with us. So in these classes, the 30 odd classes that I'm going to have with you, we are not targeting 250, but we are targeting 400 marks. All right. Now, as I told you, the essay. Now here I have given certain examples also. Like every year, at least one essay is directly coming from what we are going to discuss in our classes. Like in 2015, crisis faced in India, economic or moral. Direct morality. In fact, if you have the basic understanding, you can really write a beautiful essay on these topics, which you considered, in fact, which you don't even think about in normal circumstances. You will never think about writing an essay because you have many choices with you. You will never think about writing essay on this topic, provided you don't have knowledge, provided you have knowledge about ethics. In 2016, also, needs brings greed. If greed increases, it spoils greed. Basically, it's an improvisation of a Gandhian quote that there is enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. In 2017, destiny of a nation is shaped in its classroom. So again, this topic is there, that what is the role of educational institution in the ethical development of a child. In 2018, in fact, a record was there. 6 essays were directly related to ethics, like customary morality cannot be a guide to modern life. A people that values its privileges above its principle loses both, etc. So 2018, 6 essays. You have to, in fact, either both or at least one essay had to be there on the topics related to ethics. Again, in 2019, in fact, now it has almost becoming a trend. 4 essays, the whole section A. I mean, you cannot just remove it in your choices thing. The whole section A was covering ethics related topics. Wisdom find truths. Values are not what humanity is, but what humanity ought to be. Best for an individual is not necessarily best for the society. Basically, Sarvodaya approach, utilitarianism, all these ideas are there. Courage to accept and dedication to improve are 2 keys to success. Very easy topic, but provided you have basic idea of what dedication and courage is. All right, like courage is not showing bravery in adverse situation. Courage is also about living a simple life. In fact, there is a quote also of Seneca that sometimes even to live is an act of courage. All right. So if you have multiple dimensions related to this idea of courage, courage is also one of the cardinal virtues of Plato. So if you have the ideas, you can write a good essay. All right. So 400 marks is what we are targeting here. All right. Now, what have been the trends in the last 7 years? See, finding a trend in UPSC is not an intelligent exercise. In fact, UPSC trend is an oxymoron. I mean, both trend and UPSC they are opposite words. But because this paper is of recent origin, finding a trend can be a useful exercise. In fact, in my experience of the last 7 years, what I find is that 3 things, in fact, 4 things, I would say, 4 things I have found common. The first thing is direct questions from the syllabus. Directly, if you know even the basic concept which is there in the syllabus, you are going to answer this. Like, what is property in public life? In fact, this question they have asked thrice, 3 times in 7 years. Once they ask what is property in public life, once they ask property in governance, once they ask a question on property in public relations. So one question was asked in 3 different ways in 3 years out of 6 papers. Then they asked what is governance? What is the difference between governance and good governance? Again, this is there in our syllabus. What is the utility of emotional intelligence in administration? Direct topic is given and direct question, just like what used to happen in your Delhi University exams. The topic as mentioned in the syllabus, the same topic is asked as a question. So 2 to 3 questions are quite simple in nature. You can directly answer. Then the second trend that I have noticed is connecting ethics with your life. Such questions are highly subjective. Like instead of asking direct questions, they are asking you subjective questions. I discussed this thing earlier also when I was discussing your daily observations. Like, which personality inspires you the most? Now, usually what people write, Gandhiji, Abdul Kalam, Virat Kohli maybe, MS Dhoni also. But such things are quite cliched, what we say. Every second person is going to write either Mahatma Gandhi or Abdul Kalam. So I mean, these things are not going to help you. But if it really comes from your inside, I mean, the things, the leader which has really influenced you, then certainly it is going to fetch you more marks. So try to think about these ideas, like what happiness means to you. All right. Again, a very subjective question, what happiness is. So try to think what has really provided you happiness in life. In classes, also, I will provide you different perspectives related to happiness. But if it comes from your life, then it will be really innovative, and the probability of high marks would also be there. Like what patriotism means in your civic life. In military, we know patriotism is killing the enemy. But how you can be patriotic, not just by saying Vande Mataram, you cannot become patriotic. You must accept that your nation has many weaknesses. So by removing the evils of our society, that thing will lead to patriotism in civic life, like maintaining cleanliness in your environment, paying your taxes, like maintaining social distancing through corona pandemic. These are all acts of patriotism only. I mean, these small things you have to do, these small things will lead to a big change. All right. So these are the things. Then the third thing is 50% weightage has been given to case studies, just like your optional paper. Like in your optional, two papers are there, one and two. In paper one, theoretical aspects are there. And in paper two, the application of the theory is there. And what I have seen is that most of the students in their optional, they score less marks in paper two itself. And this is happening in ethics paper also, that less marks are there in your case studies in section B rather than section A. All right. So, but again, in your case studies also, like optional paper, in your case studies also, what I have seen is that there are around 10 to 15 types of cases which are asked again and again by the UPSC. So if you are able to understand and internalize these 15 types, then no matter what case is coming in the exam, you are going to answer it very well. So we are going to decode it in our upcoming classes. And again, in fact, many case studies are coming from current affairs also. This is also one of the type of case studies. Like I told you, I gave you example of Edward Snowden. This question was asked last year. Like last year, they asked a question on liquor prohibition, which happened in Bihar. Like a few years back, they asked a question that you are a sarpanch of a village, and there is one school in this village where a Dalit cook is employed, and children are saying no to the food cooked by this Dalit. So how you're going to bring about attitudinal change in those kids? So again, this thing actually happened two to three places in India. All right. So from current affairs also many case studies are coming. So if you're keeping an eye on what is happening around you, then at least 1 to 2 case every year you can predict. Okay, in fact, I'm going to ask many case studies in my test series based on current affairs only. Like this corona pandemic has led to many case studies which I'm going to include in my October test series. All right. So this is the trend in last few years. Now, what is the syllabus? Students have a lot of confusion also in this regard. See, the syllabus for this paper is a confluence of three disciplines basically: moral philosophy, public administration, and psychology. Unit 1 and 5, it has come like as you can see, Unit 1, ethics and human interface, and Unit 5, contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers from India and world. It is related to moral philosophy. Public administration, Unit 6 and 7, public civil services, values and ethics in public administration, and probity in governance. And psychology, Unit 2, 3, and 4, aptitude and foundational values, emotional intelligence, and your attitude. So one can say that it's a three-parent baby, but just like every baby has its own unique features, similarly, this paper also has its own unique features. And see, the answer writing style is also a bit different from your optionals and your GS. In GS, you have to write very simple things. All right. Whereas in your optionals, you can write all the technical ideas. Like the answer on emotional intelligence, what you are going to write in your psychology optional would be different from what you are going to write in your GS paper. Like you have seen that movie Three Idiots, right? So in that movie Three Idiots, that the professor asked one definition of machine. So that Ramlingam guy, he gave a very technical answer to that. That machine is this, machine is that. But Rancho guy, he gave a very simplistic definition of machine. That machine is something which saves times, which reduces risk for us, which makes our life easier. So it is this simplistic definition which is going to help you in your GS papers. In your optional papers, maybe all the technical ideas can be there, but in GS paper, idea have to remain very simple. In fact, you guys have to guard yourself from complexity bias. I mean, basically, it's a psychological phenomena in which, in fact, for most of the people, they believe that complexity is more superior to simplicity. In fact, right now in this class, also, if you'll start uttering some technical word, you will start thinking that he's teaching us something really superior. I mean, it is just like a five-star menu card. What you find there, that even a simple tea, it is mentioned in those very flowery words like the tea brought from the gardens of Assam, minced with ginger and all that, and suddenly you are ready to pay 500 rupees for that, just for a 20 rupee or 10 rupee tea. All right. So save yourself from complexity bias. In fact, I have seen such tendency among many students that instead of going to write a simple answer, they are writing those technical ones. And this technicality is actually taking marks away from them rather than adding to their score. All right. So please avoid any kind of technicalities. Be simple and write a simplistic answer that can be understood by any layman. All right. One more thing is that even though the units are coming from different disciplines, yet all of them are interconnected. Like I give you a very simple idea of, let's say, greed. Now, all of you know what greed is. All right. Now, greed is something which has been discussed by many moral philosophers also. Like in Western philosophy, also, Aristotle has talked about it, Stoics have talked about it, Confucius has talked about it. In Indian philosophy, Buddha has talked about it. It has called greed as one of the poisons of mind. Your Bhagavad Gita has called greed one of the six enemies of mind. So, moral philosophy, a lot is there. When it comes to psychology, greed can be understood as poor emotional intelligence, which is there, yeah, as a unit, emotional intelligence. All right. And when it comes to public administration, then greed is manifested in the form of corruption. Are you understanding this thing? So just simple idea, greed. We have a psychological dimension in form of emotional intelligence. Philosophical dimension is there in form of what philosophers have said, and administrative dimension in form of corruption. So one idea, but three different dimensions are there, and this is what you have to write in your answers. So every unit is interconnected. If you are reading about attitude, then it will be used in other units also, and vice versa. So there is no scope of leaving any unit. Do remember this thing. Okay. So this is about the syllabus. Now, this books and references part, as I told you earlier, that your life is the best book for this paper. All right, but again, you guys will again ask this question that, sir, please do tell us about certain books. You see, I believe that if you have time, if you're writing exam next year, then you can read some authentic works like P. Sainath, Everybody Loves a Good Drought. It will give you an administrative perspective toward different problems in India. This Gurcharan Das book is there, The Difficulty of Being Good. In fact, this book is about application of the lessons that we learn from Mahabharata into present day problems, the problems faced by public and private sector players. So that, in fact, that's a very nice book, The Difficulty of Being Good. You can read it if you have time. You're giving paper next year. We have this T.N. Chaturvedi, Ethics in Public Life. All right, so sorry for the interruption. There was some technical issue. So we were discussing about these certain books and references. So Gurcharan Das, The Difficulty of Being Good is there. Then we have this. This is a really nice book. I mean, it will really help you a lot in different aspects of life. Then we have this T.N. Chaturvedi, Ethics in Public Life. It is going to give you an administrative aspect, and certainly T.N. Chaturvedi he's a known public administrator. So Ethics in Public Life, it's going to help you a lot. Then Pratap Bhanu Mehta, Burden of Democracy. Most of the people who are in civil services preparation are aware about this book. Then certain debates and editorials are there in newspapers and periodicals. Like in Times of India, we have this the Speaking Tree. This column is there on the editorial page in Times of India. You can read it on internet also. Okay, it is helpful. I mean, once in a week, some article is there which is directly related to your topics which are mentioned in syllabus. Then some news websites are also there, News Laundry, the who.org. But again, these things are there only when you have time with you. If you don't have time, if you are preparing for this year, then these two things can help you. Second ARC's 4th and 10th report. Usually most of the students, they read 4th report, but it is a 10th report from which most of the questions are coming. 10th report is on personnel administration. Then this lexicon book is there, though personally I don't like this book, but because it has become so famous, usually among the students who gave their papers in 2013 to 2016, because at that time this book was relevant, but not now because the paper has evolved. So things are not as simple as mentioned in lexicon. So if you're taking my classes, then this lexicon is not required. In fact, second ARC, 4th and 10th report have also been covered in my printed notes and in class discussions. So you won't be needing much if you're taking up the classes. All right. Again, I will tell you that your life is the best book for this paper. And then the last thing is the module highlights, the classes that we are going to have from Saturday, 14th June. Now, as I told you, we are going to have more than 30 classes together. So the program will start somewhere around 14th of June and it will end by 25th July. In fact, it would be my endeavor to finish it before 20th of July only. Okay, so this is, I mean, I'm keeping 5 days for the flexibility part. All right, around 2.5 hour duration would be there. So in total, around 75 hours program is going to be there. Let's see what kind of breakage comes. As per the situation, we will take the classes. All right, then the classes would be supplemented with printed material. Around 3 booklets would be posted to you. Case study booklet, section A booklet, and then we have the governance booklet. Okay, these 3 booklets, and with some PDFs also would be mailed to you. The printed material, because the lockdown is going on, so it will take just a minute. So this printed material will take at least 20 days to reach your place. Till then, I will provide you with the PDFs. Okay. Again, as I discussed earlier, the test series is also included in the program. 5 tests are going to be there. These 5 tests will be based on the current affairs things. So the test series would be launched after your PT, that is 4th of October. So all of the students who are going to write their mains this year, the test series is going to be really helpful, and it will also maintain the continuity in their GS papers force preparation. So it is highly recommendable that the 5 tests would be written after your PT exam. Those who are preparing for next year, they can also write in October itself. If they want to do practice now, then now also this test series is available. All right. If you want to take the admissions, you guys can visit our website www.orientis.com, or you can call us or WhatsApp me on these two numbers. These two numbers are given: 98109498873. This is my personal number, and this 9643772112. This is the number of one of my associates. So you will get all the information on these two numbers. The program fee is 17,000 including taxes. This is for the classroom as well as for the test series. If you don't want to take the test series, then the fees is 14,000. And the classes would be provided to you on the secure platform, and they will have a 100-day validity. Now, one of the queries that I've heard from the students is that they are saying that we are not going to be able to utilize these 100 days as PT is coming. So what you guys can do is that 60 days you can take now, and 40 days you can take after prelims. Okay. So for June and July, you will get the 60-day validity, and then in October month also, the validity would be available with you guys. All right. Any problem, any issue is there, you guys can contact us on these numbers. My Telegram channel is also there, as I told you in the starting of the class, Ethics by Atul Garg. If you're not able to find it, message me. I will send you the invite link. There you will get all the updates regarding the module as well as the current affairs associated with GS Paper 4. I hope most of your questions, most of your queries regarding the module has been resolved now. If any question, do feel free to call us. That will be all for today. Thank you very much. We now again meet on 14th of June. Till then, goodbye and stay safe.